Good morning. You're watching World News here on TVP World. I'm Anna Kalczyńska. Poland has reached an agreement with the United States to purchase 400 air-to-air missiles in a $1.3 billion deal. The new AM-123 missiles will be used by Poland and other NATO countries with F-35 fighters.
The purchase was announced by Polish Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz on social media platform X. Compared to the previous generations currently in use by the Polish Air Force, the new AMRAAM missiles feature better guidance systems and a significantly increased range. In addition to the missiles, Poland will receive test equipment, encryption devices, spare parts, technical documentation, as well as engineering and training support. Other countries that will receive the missiles include the United Kingdom, the Netherlands and Australia. Strategic Cooperation Plus is bearing fruit. The latest air-to-air missiles will be delivered to our Air Force. The US Department of State has just approved Poland's purchase of 400 of the latest AIM-120D3 missiles. Their range reaches up to 180 kilometers. This is another step in the great modernization of the Polish armed forces.
U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, said in an interview with Fox News that, quote, Russia is not winning this war. He pointed to the enormous losses the Russian armed forces have sustained while failing to take any of the largest cities in Ukraine. Joining us now is our correspondent Oz Chatterjee. Oz, good morning. How are Kellogg's remarks being received in Kyiv?
Well, they'll be received positively, but I think the context that is missing in this is that while Keith Kellogg has been officially appointed as the U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, he has not been the man at the forefront of these negotiations with Russia. That instead has been left to Steve Witkoff, the U.S. Special Envoy for the Middle East. Witkoff himself has said many statements which the Ukrainians view as favoring Russia's side in the more than 3-year-long full-scale invasion of Ukraine. But these remarks from Kellogg will be seen positively in Ukraine. He didn't just say that Russia was not winning this war, though that was important. He also called Putin's idea for a 3-day ceasefire absurd, reiterated that the Washington's position was to move to a permanent ceasefire, one based on starting with a 30-day total ceasefire, unconditional ceasefire, that could then be extended as needed, as necessary. Now, again, this is quite far away from what Moscow believes, what the Kremlin believes it wants. So there is a difference between the U.S. position and the Russian position. If you're listening to Keith Kellogg, that is. The bigger question is how much does Keith Kellogg represent the White House's position in comparison to Steve Witkoff? Now, President Zelensky has also spoken out after following further airstrikes on the country this morning, saying this is why we need to pressure Russia. We need strong additional sanctions that will work. Pressure, not just words or attempts to convince, must force Russia to cease fire and end the war.
Thank you, Oz. Oz Chatterjee from Kyiv reporting. U.S. Department said Tuesday evening the time is now for concrete proposals from Russia and Ukraine to end Moscow's war. According to the spokeswoman Tammy Bruce, the United States will step back from their role as mediators if they see no progress in achieving a peaceful solution to the war.
I do have something I can tell you that the Secretary said to me about the situation just a short time ago, Andrea Mitchell. We are now at a time where concrete proposals need to be delivered by the two parties on how to end this conflict. How we proceed from here is a decision that belongs now to the President. If there is not progress, we will step back as mediators in this process.
The U.S. administration is not keen on imposing more pressure on Moscow as it sees ties between Kremlin and Beijing as already too deep, says our guest, geopolitics expert Vilina Charakova. She added, however, that the US could impose further sanctions on Russia's energy and financial sectors.
I would not exclude the combined approach where the US still can actually impose sanctions, for instance, on the energy or financial sector. And right now we know for a fact that the Russian economy is hurting because of the already imposed sanctions on behalf of the US leadership, already starting with Biden administration when it comes to LNG, when it comes to shadow fleet and so on. I don't see, honestly, a lot of niches for the US administration to really impose a lot of pressure on Moscow right now, on the Kremlin. Why? Because the Kremlin is holding the Chinese cards. And basically, the fear on behalf of America is that this modus operandi between China and Russia is becoming far too deep.
Russia launched yet another strike on Ukraine overnight, targeting multiple regions of the country. At least one person was killed and 45 others wounded, including children. The Russian drone attacked multiple locations across Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. An apartment building, private houses, as well as medical facility were destroyed in the aftermath. Footage released by the State Emergency Service of Ukraine shows first responders on the scene putting out a fire and local residents being rescued from the rubble. The Russian strike also targeted Dnipro in Ukraine's southeast, triggering fires and killing one person. Kherson was also hit with 2 people wounded and the damage to several houses. Kharkiv, Dnipro and Kherson have been regular Russian targets since the start of the war. Bulgaria's pro-Russian nationalist Revival Party has signed an agreement for joint cooperation and equal partnership with Vladimir Putin's United Russia Party. The aim of the deal is to strengthen Bulgaria-Russian ties.
The agreement provides for the exchange of experience, ideas, and political practices between the two parties, according to Revival, and is an important step towards the restoration of full-fledged Bulgaria-Russia relations. It was signed by the two parties during a recent visit to Moscow by a Revival delegation at the invitation of Putin's United Russia. With 33 out of 240 MPs, Revival is the third political force in the Bulgarian parliament. The party managed to enter parliament after gathering just over 13% of support in the last parliamentary elections in October of 2024.
Speaking at the Three Seas Initiative Summit in Warsaw, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia might be planning new military activity, using Belarus as a springboard. He suggested the Kremlin might use the two countries' joint military exercises this September as a pretext.
And look at Belarus. Russia is preparing something there this summer, using military drills as cover. And that's usually how they start a new attack. But where will it go? I don't know. Ukraine, Lithuania, Poland, God bless, no. But we all need to be ready.
Provocations on the eastern border of the EU will not stop as long as Lukashenko is in power, said the exiled leader of the Belarusian opposition, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya. Speaking with TVP World, Tikhanovskaya said that the case is more important now in the context of war in Ukraine than it had been years prior.
While Lukashenko is in power and supported by Putin, there will be constant provocations, against our democratic neighbors. It might be drills on the borders, it's migration attacks,
That's September.
Absolutely, deployment of nuclear weapon or such declarations about, whose land it is. So it just to to provoke, to blackmail, and of course our democratic partners, Western countries, have to be always concerned about what's happening, and that is why it's so important now in the context of the war against Ukraine. It's very important to keep unity, to keep strength and consistency of the policy regarding dictators, because when they feel any hesitation, when they see that their narratives, their propaganda is poisoning minds of people, they can perceive it as weakness.
Manfred Weber was re-elected as European People's Party president during the first day of the ongoing EPP Congress in Valencia. The German politician secured 502 votes in favor, while 61 of his party colleagues voted against him.
Weber took the floor in Valencia as the final speaker of the first day of the EPP Congress on Tuesday. During his statement, the German MEP praised the rise of EPP members in Europe, like in Poland and Moldova, and hailed Ursula von der Leyen's re-election as the head of the European Commission. Weber then pointed to his role in enlarging the European People's Party, recalling a trip to Hungary to strike a deal with the TISA party, led by Peter Magyar. The first day of the Congress was co-headlined by Ursula von der Leyen, who spoke about global trade amid uncertainty caused by US President Donald Trump's new tariff policy.
And yes, with a clear path.
The Swedish police have managed to apprehend the suspect of shooting that killed 3 people in the Swedish city of Uppsala on Tuesday afternoon. Law enforcement say the shooting is being investigated as a homicide, as nothing yet suggests the incident was an act of terror or hate crime.
According to the spokesperson for the Swedish police, a single person left the scene using an electric scooter. It is not clear, however, if the person was the perpetrator or a witness to the crime. Additionally, the Swedish police stated the victims are yet to be identified and declined to speculate on the motive for the killings. Electric scooters have been used several times as a mode of escape following gang clashes in Sweden. Uppsala, about 40 minutes from Stockholm by car, has seen many gang-related shootings and stabbings in the past decade. However, they usually occurred outside the city center.
US President Donald Trump marked his first 100 days in office with a rally in Warren, Michigan. Standing in front of cheering supporters, Trump claimed it was the most successful first 100 days of any Washington administration, despite polls showing Americans growing dissatisfaction with the economic turmoil caused by Trump's tariffs.
And we're here tonight in the heartland of our nation to celebrate the most successful first 100 days of any administration in the history of our country, and that's according to many, many people. And also, we cannot allow a handful of communist, radical left judges to obstruct the enforcement of our laws and assume the duties that belong solely to the President of the United States. Judges are trying to take away the power given to the President to keep our country safe, and it's not a good thing. We will cut more than $1 trillion in wasteful and unnecessary spending. And in the next fiscal year, it'll all be done. We're going to have something that you won't even believe. We will end inflation, slash prices. We've already ended inflation, raise wages, and give you the greatest economy in the history of the world.
Cardinals from all corners of the world are gathering in Rome for a general congregation. The topic of their discussion is the upcoming conclave aimed at electing the next pope. According to media reports, around 120 cardinals have already arrived in Rome. A total of 135 senior clergy members under the age of 80 are eligible to vote for the next head of the Catholic Church. The previous 2 conclaves, in 2005 and 2013, lasted only 2 days. But experts say this time deliberations might take longer. The late Pope Francis was responsible for appointing around 80% of the cardinals who will take part in this upcoming conclave. And with these serene pictures from Vatican, we end this edition of World News. But please stay tuned to TVP World for more coverage and more topics to come.